All right, everyone. Today, I want to share something special with you, my journey of learning English. I know that learning a new language can be exciting, but sometimes it feels a little difficult too. Don't worry, we are in this together. English is a very important language. It helps us connect with people from different countries, learn new things, and even find better job opportunities. Imagine traveling to a new place and talking to people easily, or watching your favorite movies without subtitles. Wouldn't that be amazing? When I first started learning English, I had so many questions. Where should I start? How can I remember new words? What if I make mistakes? Maybe you have the same questions, and that's okay. Learning takes time, and the most important thing is to keep going. Let me ask you, why do you want to learn English? Is it for school, for work, or just because you enjoy learning new things? Think about your reason, because having a clear goal will help you stay motivated. In this story, I will tell you about my own experiences, how I started, the challenges I faced, and the little things I did to improve my English every day. So, are you ready to begin this journey with me? Let's get started. All right, let's talk about something very important when learning English: setting a goal. When we start learning something new, especially a language like English, it's easy to feel lost. There are so many words, grammar rules, and pronunciation tips. Sometimes, it can feel like a big mountain to climb. But don't worry, if you have a clear goal, learning becomes much easier and more fun. When I first started learning English, I didn't really know what I wanted to achieve. I just thought, I want to speak English. But soon, I realized that having a clear goal would help me stay motivated and focused. I asked myself, why do I want to learn English? What do I want to do with it? And you should ask yourself the same questions. Do you want to speak English confidently with friends? Do you want to travel to an English-speaking country? Or maybe you need English for work or school. For me, my goal was simple. I wanted to speak English confidently so I could meet new people and travel to other countries. I always dreamed of visiting different places and talking to people from different cultures. I imagined myself sitting in a cafe in London or walking through the streets of New York, talking to locals without feeling shy. That dream gave me the motivation to keep learning every day, but in the beginning, it wasn't easy at all. I remember the first time I tried to introduce myself in English. I was so nervous. My hands were shaking, and I forgot simple words like hello and nice to meet you. I felt embarrassed, but I didn't give up. I told myself, it's okay to make mistakes. I'm learning. And you should remember that too. Making mistakes is a normal part of learning. Another challenge I faced was understanding people when they spoke too fast. I would watch English videos, and I couldn't understand anything. It felt like they were speaking too quickly, and I thought, will I ever understand English? But I didn't stop. Instead, I set smaller goals, like learning a few new words every day or practicing short sentences. Little by little, I started to improve. One of the biggest challenges I faced was confidence. I was afraid to speak because I didn't want to sound silly or say the wrong thing. But then I realized something important. Everyone starts somewhere. Even native English speakers make mistakes sometimes. So I decided to practice speaking English every day, even if it was just talking to myself in the mirror. I also faced difficulties with grammar. At first, it seemed so confusing. Past tense, present tense, future tense. It was hard to keep everything in order. but I learned that I didn't need to be perfect. The most important thing was to communicate and improve step by step. So, here's my advice to you. Think about your goal. Do you want to speak English for travel, work, making friends? Once you have a goal, learning becomes much easier. Write your goal down and remind yourself of it every day. It will help you stay focused and motivated, even when things feel difficult. And remember, everyone faces challenges when learning a new language. You might forget words, make mistakes, or feel nervous when speaking. But that's all part of the process. Just keep going, take small steps, and you will see progress. Now, take a moment and think. What is your goal for learning English? Whatever it is, keep it in your mind and use it to push yourself forward. With a clear goal, you can achieve anything. Let's continue this journey together, one step at a time. All right, now let's talk about the first steps in learning English. I still remember when I decided to learn English seriously. I was excited, but I didn't know where to start. Should I watch English movies? Should I buy a grammar book? Or should I just start speaking? There were so many questions in my mind. At first, I decided to take it step by step. I didn't want to feel overwhelmed, so I started with the basics, learning simple words and phrases. Every day, I would learn a few new words, like hello, thank you, good morning, and how are you? These may seem like small words, but they are very important. When you know these basic words, you can start small conversations, and that makes you feel more confident. I remember standing in front of the mirror and practicing my self-introduction. I would say, "Hello, my name is your name. I am from your country. I like to read books and watch movies." At first, it felt strange to talk to myself, but it really helped me get comfortable with speaking English. To make learning more fun, I started watching English videos on YouTube. I looked for videos with subtitles so I could read and listen at the same time. I watched simple things, cartoons, short conversations, and beginner English lessons. I noticed that listening to native speakers helped me a lot. It taught me the right pronunciation and made me feel more familiar with the language. One of the best things I did was listening to English songs. I would find songs I liked, read the lyrics, and try to sing along. This helped me learn new words and practice pronunciation in a fun way. Sometimes, I didn't understand every word, but that was okay. I learned little by little. Reading books was another great way I practiced. I didn't start with big books, of course. I chose simple books for beginners like children's stories or short articles online. These books used easy words and sentences, which made it easier for me to understand. I remember reading a short story about a cat and a dog. It was simple but fun. Reading helped me learn how sentences are formed and improved my vocabulary. One of the first things I learned in English was how to greet people. Greetings are very important because they help you start conversations. Here are a few simple greetings I practiced. Hello, how are you? Good morning, nice to meet you. What's your name? My name is... Where are you from? I'm from... These simple phrases helped me a lot when I met new people who spoke English. I could introduce myself and ask basic questions, and that made me feel more comfortable. To practice every day, I started writing a small journal in English. Every night, I would write simple sentences about my day. For example, today I went to the market. I ate pizza for lunch. I watched a movie with my friend. This daily habit helped me improve my writing skills and also made me think in English. At first, I made many mistakes, but that was okay. The important thing was to practice. Another thing I did was speaking English whenever I got a chance. I would practice speaking with my friends, and even if they didn't speak English well, we helped each other. If I didn't have anyone to talk to, I would practice speaking to myself at home. I would describe what I was doing, like, I am brushing my teeth, or I am cooking dinner. It may sound funny, but it really helped me think in English. Learning English takes time, so I set small goals. Every week I focused on learning new words and practicing them in sentences. For example, one week I learned words about food, like apple, bread, and rice, and I practiced using them in sentences. I like apples, or I eat rice for dinner. One of the biggest challenges I faced at the beginning was pronunciation. Some words were really hard to say correctly. Words like comfortable and vegetable were difficult for me, but I practiced saying them slowly and listening to how native speakers pronounce them. Over time, I got better. Another thing that helped me was using flashcards. I wrote English words on one side and their meaning in my language on the other side. Whenever I had free time, I would look at the flashcards and test myself. This was a great way to remember new words. To make my learning even better, I started watching English movies with subtitles. I chose movies that were easy to understand, like animations or family movies. At first, I read the subtitles while listening, but later, I tried to watch without subtitles to test how much I could understand. Practicing speaking was one of the hardest parts in the beginning. I was afraid of making mistakes, but I learned that mistakes are part of learning. The more I practiced, the more confident I became. I told myself, it's okay if I say something wrong. I am learning, and every mistake helps me improve. Looking back, I realized that taking small steps every day helped me a lot. I didn't learn everything in one day, but with daily practice, I got better and better. So, if you are just starting your English journey, my advice to you is, start with simple words and phrases. Learn greetings and self-introduction first. Watch English videos with subtitles and listen carefully. Read simple books and practice writing a daily journal. Speak English every day, even if it's just talking to yourself. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Learning takes time, and mistakes help you grow. Remember, learning English is like building a house. You have to start with a strong foundation and add bricks step by step. If you practice every day, you will see great improvement. So, are you ready to take your first steps in learning English? Let's do it together. All right, let's talk about something that every English learner faces: challenges. Learning a new language is exciting, but it's not always easy. When I started learning English, I faced many problems, and sometimes I felt like giving up. But I didn't, and I want to share my experience with you to help you stay motivated. One of the biggest challenges I faced was grammar. English grammar can be confusing because there are so many rules. For example, when I first learned about verb tenses, past, present, and future, I always made mistakes. I would say things like, yesterday I go to the store, instead of, yesterday I went to the store. It felt frustrating because I kept mixing up the tenses. Another grammar problem I had was using prepositions like in, on, and at. I would say things like, I am in the bus instead of I am on the bus. These small mistakes made me feel embarrassed, but I realized that grammar takes time to learn. I started practicing with simple exercises every day, and little by little, I improved. My advice to you is this: don't worry if you make grammar mistakes. The most important thing is to communicate. As you practice more, you will naturally get better. Another big challenge for me was pronunciation. English pronunciation can be tricky because some words don't sound the way they are spelled. For example, words like though, through, and tough all look similar but sound very different. When I tried to say these words, I often pronounced them incorrectly. It made me feel shy, especially when I spoke to native speakers. To improve my pronunciation, I started listening carefully to native speakers. I watched videos, listened to English podcasts, and repeated what I heard. One great trick I used was shadowing. This means listening to a sentence and trying to repeat it exactly the same way. At first, it was difficult, but with practice, I became better. So, if you have trouble with pronunciation, don't worry. Just keep practicing, and you will improve step by step. Speaking of feeling shy, that was another big challenge I faced. I was always afraid of making mistakes, especially when speaking with other people. I thought they would laugh at me or not understand what I was saying. Because of this fear, I avoided speaking English, which slowed down my progress. But then I realized something important. Mistakes are part of learning. Every time I made a mistake, I learned something new. So I decided to change my attitude. I started speaking English with my friends, even if I made mistakes. I also talked to myself in English when I was alone. I would describe what I was doing, like, I am cooking dinner, or I am going to the market. Slowly, I became more confident. I want to encourage you, don't be afraid to speak English. Even if your grammar or pronunciation is not perfect, it's okay. The more you practice, the better you will get. Just take small steps and be patient with yourself. To stay motivated, I found some fun ways to practice English. One of my favorite ways was listening to English songs. I chose songs with simple lyrics and sang along. This helped me learn new words and practice pronunciation in an enjoyable way. Some of my favorite songs were slow songs because they were easier to understand. Another fun way I practiced was watching movies and TV shows in English. At first, I watched with subtitles in my language so I could understand the story. Later, I switched to English subtitles, and finally, I tried watching without subtitles. Watching movies helped me improve my listening skills and taught me how native speakers speak in real life. If you enjoy watching movies, I recommend starting with simple and fun ones, like cartoons or family movies. I also enjoyed playing English learning games. There are many mobile apps and online games where you can learn new vocabulary and grammar in a fun way. These games made learning feel less like studying and more like having fun. Reading was another fun way to practice. I started reading short stories and comic books in English. The pictures in comic books helped me understand the story even if I didn't know every word. I also read simple English blogs about topics I liked, such as travel, food, and technology. Reading made me feel more connected to the language and helped me learn new words naturally. Another thing that kept me motivated was setting small goals. Instead of thinking, I need to be fluent, I set smaller goals like learning 10 new words a week or practicing speaking for 5 minutes every day. These small goals helped me stay motivated because I could see my progress step by step. I also found it helpful to keep a learning journal. Every day, I wrote down a few new words I learned, and I tried to use them in sentences. For example, if I learned the word delicious, I would write, "Today's lunch was delicious." Writing things down helped me remember them better. Sometimes, when I felt tired or unmotivated, I reminded myself why I started learning English. I thought about my goal, traveling, making new friends, and having better job opportunities. Thinking about my goals helped me stay focused and excited about learning. If you ever feel unmotivated, here are a few things you can do. Take a break and do something fun in English, like watching a short video or listening to music. Find a study partner to practice speaking with. Learning with someone else can make it more fun. Reward yourself when you achieve small goals, like buying yourself a treat when you learn 20 new words. Remember why you started. Think about how English can help you in the future. So, my advice to you is, don't give up when you face challenges. Grammar, pronunciation, and confidence all take time to improve. The key is to practice every day and find fun ways to enjoy learning. Whether it's listening to music, watching movies, or reading books, find what you enjoy and keep going. Learning English is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Stay motivated, keep practicing, and most importantly, have fun while learning. When I started learning English, I studied alone. I watched videos and read books. I tried to listen to English songs and practice speaking by myself, but sometimes I felt bored. I wanted to speak English, but I had no one to practice with. I tried writing sentences and reading them out loud, but it was not the same as having a real conversation. I felt shy and unsure of my pronunciation. One day, I decided to ask my friends to practice English with me. At first, they were also shy. They said they were afraid to make mistakes. I told them, "It's okay. We are learning together." We started by using simple words. We said things like, "Hello, how are you?" and "What is your name?" We laughed when we made mistakes, but we kept trying. We met every day after school to practice. First, we practiced greetings. We took turns saying, "Good morning," "How are you?" and "Nice to meet you." Then, we learned how to introduce ourselves. We said things like, "My name is John," and "I am from India." At first, we spoke slowly. We repeated the same sentences many times until we felt more comfortable. Sometimes we practiced by asking and answering questions. We asked each other, "What do you like to eat?" and "What is your favorite color?" These questions were easy, so we felt more confident. My friends liked talking about their favorite foods, and we learned many new words. We talked about pizza, rice, and ice cream. We learned how to say, "I like pizza," and "I don't like spicy food." Practicing with friends made learning English fun. We played simple games. One game we liked was word association. One person would say a word like apple, and the next person had to say another word related to it, like fruit. This game helped us think in English and learn new vocabulary. We also played 20 questions, where one person thought of an object and others asked yes or no questions to guess it. These games helped us learn English without feeling like we were studying. When we started practicing conversations, it was difficult. Sometimes we didn't know what to say. We used short sentences like "I like football" or "I have a dog." Slowly, we learned how to ask follow-up questions like, "What kind of dog do you have?" and where do you play football? Our conversations became longer, and we felt happy when we could talk for a few minutes without stopping. We also practiced talking about our daily routines. Each person would say, I wake up at 7 o'clock, I go to school at 8, and I eat lunch at 12. It was fun to compare our routines and learn new words. When someone didn't know a word, we helped them by explaining it in simple English or using gestures. Sometimes we watched short English videos together and tried to repeat the sentences. We listened carefully to how words were pronounced. If we didn't understand something, we watched it again and tried to guess the meaning. Watching videos with friends helped us learn how native speakers talk in real life. One day, we decided to practice speaking English outside. We went to a market and tried to talk to shopkeepers in English. We asked, "How much is this?" and "Do you have apples?" At first, we were nervous, but the shopkeepers were kind and helped us. It was a great experience, and it made us feel more confident using English in real situations. We also learned how to ask for directions in English. We practiced saying, "Where is the park?" and "How do I get to the train station?" Then, we tried asking real people for directions. Some people answered in English, and others used our native language. It was a little scary, but we learned how to speak clearly and politely. Sometimes we made mistakes, and that was okay. We learned from our mistakes. When we didn't know how to say something, we used simple words or asked for help. Our confidence grew with each practice session. Practicing English with friends also helped us with listening skills. We listened to each other carefully. We learned how to understand different accents and speaking styles. Sometimes we spoke too fast or too quietly, so we learned how to speak clearly. Learning English with friends also helped with motivation. When I studied alone, I sometimes felt lazy or tired, but with friends, learning was fun and exciting. We encouraged each other to practice every day. If one of us felt tired, the others would say, "Let's practice for 10 minutes." This way, we stayed consistent in our learning. After a few months, we noticed a big improvement. We could have longer conversations, and we felt more comfortable speaking English. We were still learning, but we were not afraid to speak anymore. If you want to improve your English, I recommend practicing with friends. Here are some simple things you can do. Practice greetings every day. Say, "Hello," "How are you?" and "Nice to meet you." Ask simple questions. Ask, "What do you like?" and "Where are you from?" Talk about your daily routine. Say, "I wake up at 7, I eat lunch at 12, and I go to bed at 10. Watch English videos together and talk about them. Try to repeat sentences from the videos. Play word games. Games like 20 questions or word association are fun and helpful. Go outside and talk to people in English. Try speaking in stores or asking for directions. Encourage each other. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Learning takes time. Practicing with friends makes learning easier and more enjoyable. It helps you build confidence and improve your speaking skills. So, if you are learning English, find a friend and start practicing today. All right, now let's talk about one of the most important things when it comes to learning English: daily practice. When I first started learning, I thought I could just study once in a while and become fluent. But I quickly learned that if I wanted to improve, I needed to practice every single day. It wasn't easy at first, and sometimes it felt like I wasn't making progress. But as time passed, I realized that small daily actions were the key to getting better. I started with just a few minutes each day. I didn't spend hours sitting at my desk, but I made sure to do something in English every day, even if it was only for 10 minutes. I would watch a short video, read a simple article, or write a few sentences in my notebook. I remember feeling a little discouraged at the beginning because I didn't see big results right away. But over time, I began to notice something important. The small efforts were adding up. One of the first habits I built was writing a daily journal. Every day, I would write a few sentences about what I did, what I ate, or what I saw. At first, my writing was very simple. I would write, "I went to the store today. I bought bread." But as I kept writing, I started adding more details. "I went to the store today. I bought bread, milk, and some vegetables. The weather was sunny, and I saw many people walking outside." The more I wrote, the easier it became. I started using new words, learning new sentence structures, and getting more comfortable with writing in English. Writing in a journal is a great way to practice every day. You don't need to write long stories or perfect sentences. The most important thing is to write something, even if it's just a few lines. I recommend writing about your day, your thoughts, or anything you're interested in. As you write, you'll see how much you improve over time. Another activity that helped me was talking to myself. I know it might sound a little strange, but talking to yourself in English is a great way to practice speaking when you don't have anyone else to talk to. I would talk about what I was doing, like, "I am cooking dinner now," or "I need to go to the store." Sometimes I would pretend I was having a conversation with someone else. I'd say, "Hi, how are you today?" "I'm fine, thank you." It felt awkward at first, but it helped me practice speaking out loud, and I started feeling more comfortable. Talking to yourself in English is also a great way to practice pronunciation. You can say new words or sentences out loud until you feel confident saying them correctly. It's okay if you make mistakes. The goal is to keep practicing and improving. If you're not sure how a word sounds, you can listen to native speakers and repeat after them. You can even record yourself speaking and listen to it to see where you can improve. In addition to journaling and talking to myself, I also use language apps to practice every day. There are many apps available that can help you learn English. Some apps focus on vocabulary, others on grammar, and some even help you practice speaking and listening. I would spend about 10 minutes a day on these apps, learning new words, practicing pronunciation, or taking short quizzes. At first, it felt like a game. I would try to earn points or finish levels, but soon I realized that these apps were helping me learn in a fun and interactive way. One of the best things about language apps is that you can practice anywhere. You can practice while you're waiting for the bus, during your lunch break, or even while you're relaxing at home. You don't need a lot of time to use them. Just a few minutes each day can make a big difference. Now, let's talk about another important aspect of daily practice: listening. I knew that to become fluent in English, I needed to improve my listening skills, so I made it a point to listen to English every day. At first, I listened to simple podcasts or watched videos with subtitles. I would repeat what I heard to practice my pronunciation. Sometimes, I would pause the video or podcast and try to say the sentence just like the speaker. Other times, I would listen to the same video or podcast several times to understand more and catch new words. It's very important to listen to English regularly because it helps you get used to the rhythm and sounds of the language. The more you listen, the more words and phrases you will recognize, and your ability to understand will improve. Over time, I could understand more of what I was listening to, even without subtitles. Another great way to practice listening is by watching movies or TV shows in English. At first, I watched with subtitles in my native language, but as I improved, I switched to English subtitles. Watching movies is a fun way to practice because you get to hear how people speak in real situations. You can also learn new expressions, slang, and cultural phrases that you won't find in textbooks. In addition to speaking, writing, and listening, I also focused on reading every day. I would read simple books, articles, or news in English. At first it was difficult. I didn't understand all the words, and sometimes I had to look up their meanings. But the more I read, the easier it became. I started recognizing words I had learned before, and I didn't need to use a dictionary as much. If you're a beginner, try reading short stories or children's books. These books use simple language, and they are great for practicing reading. As you get better, you can move on to more difficult books, articles, or blogs. Reading helps you improve your vocabulary, sentence structure, and understanding of how English works. Now, let's talk about consistency. When I first started, I wasn't sure if practicing every day would really make a difference. But after a few months, I realized that the small things I did every day added up. Consistency is so important when learning a language. You don't need to study for hours. What matters is that you practice a little bit every day. Think about it like this. If you practice for 10 minutes every day for a month, that's over 300 minutes of practice. Imagine how much you can improve with just 10 minutes a day. Even on days when you're tired or busy, try to do something small. Listen to a short podcast, write a sentence in your journal, or review a few new words. Every little bit helps. The key to success in learning English is not doing a lot all at once. It's about doing something every day. It's easy to forget or skip practice sometimes. But remember, consistency is the key. Little by little, your skills will improve, and soon you will see big changes. So here are some tips for daily practice. Write in your journal every day, even if it's just a few sentences. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing, or pretend you're having a conversation. Use language apps. Spend 10 minutes a day practicing vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. Listen to English every day. Watch videos, listen to podcasts, or listen to music. Read something in English every day. Start with easy books, then move to harder materials. Be consistent. Even if you only practice for a few minutes each day, it will make a difference. Daily practice is the key to success. It might feel slow at first, but remember, the more you practice, the better you will become. So, make a habit of practicing every day, and you will see amazing results over time. All right. Now let's talk about something really exciting: small successes. When I started learning English, I thought I would only feel successful when I could speak fluently or when I understood everything I heard. But I quickly learned that success doesn't always look like big achievements. Success is made up of small moments, the little victories that happen along the way. At first I was focused on speaking perfectly. I wanted to speak just like the people in the movies. I was frustrated because I couldn't say things as smoothly as I wanted. But one day, I had a small success that made me feel so proud of myself. I went to a restaurant, and I was able to order food in English for the first time. It might sound like a simple thing, but for me, it was huge. I walked up to the counter and said, "Hi, I would like a burger and a soda, please." I was nervous at first, but the more I practiced, the more confident I became. The person behind the counter smiled and said, "Sure. Anything else?" I was able to understand them, and I responded without thinking too much. "No, that's it, thank you." It was a small conversation, but I felt so proud of myself. I had just used English in a real-life situation. That moment was a reminder that learning English doesn't always need to be perfect. What mattered was that I was doing it, speaking, using the words I had learned, and making an effort. It felt amazing, and I couldn't wait to keep practicing. Another small success I had was when I watched an English movie without subtitles. At first, I always used subtitles because I didn't understand everything. I would read the subtitles in my language, then try to follow the English. But after months of listening to English every day, I decided to try watching a movie without subtitles. The first time I did it, I only understood about half of the movie. There were many words I didn't know, and some sentences were too fast for me to catch. But I didn't let that stop me. I kept watching, even though I didn't understand everything. The more I watched, the more I started to understand. I began to pick out words and phrases I had learned, and even though I missed some parts, I could still follow the main ideas. I remember watching a comedy movie. There was one scene where the character said something really funny, and I was able to understand the joke without needing subtitles. I laughed, and for a moment, I felt like I was part of the conversation. It felt amazing. Watching a movie in English without subtitles was a small success, but it was a big step forward in my journey. Another success that made me really happy was when I was able to explain something in English. One day I was talking to a friend, and I wanted to explain how I felt about something. I said, "I feel happy because I learned English. I can talk to people now." At that moment, I realized how far I had come. I could express my feelings and ideas in English, something I couldn't have done just a few months before. It wasn't a perfect sentence, but it was good enough. Sometimes the small successes are not about speaking or understanding perfectly. They are about doing things you couldn't do before. Another small victory I had was when I could read an English book without needing to stop every few words. I started with simple books, but over time I moved on to books that were a little harder. The first time I read a whole book without stopping to look up every word, I was so proud of myself. It felt like I had unlocked a new level in my English journey. Learning English is all about progress, and those small successes are important. They help you see how much you have grown. For example, being able to listen to a podcast in English without feeling confused, understanding a song you love, or knowing how to ask for directions when you're traveling. These small moments of success are the building blocks of fluency. It's easy to forget how far you've come when you're focused on the big goal of becoming fluent. But those small successes are just as important as the big ones. Celebrate each step forward, no matter how small it seems. Every new word you learn, every conversation you have, and every time you use English in real life is a reason to celebrate. One of the best things about small successes is that they motivate you to keep going. The more you celebrate, the more excited you become to learn even more. I remember after I successfully ordered food in English, I wanted to practice more. I started going to different restaurants and ordering in English. Each time I did it, I felt a little more confident. I wasn't just learning English anymore. I was using it. Another small success was when I could understand the weather report in English. In the beginning, I couldn't understand anything the weather announcer said. It was too fast, and I didn't know the words. But one day, I watched a weather forecast and understood most of it. I was able to hear the temperatures, the cities, and the weather conditions in English without any help. That was another small victory, and it gave me the confidence to keep learning. As you learn English, try to notice and celebrate these small moments of success. You don't need to wait until you can speak perfectly or understand everything. Every time you use English in a real situation, every time you understand something new, you are making progress. It's important to celebrate these moments because they remind you that you're on the right path. If you make a mistake, don't worry. It's okay to make mistakes. What's important is that you keep trying. Even when you don't understand everything, celebrate the fact that you are learning and growing. You are doing something that many people find difficult, and that's something to be proud of. So, here are some examples of small successes you might experience. Ordering food or drinks in English at a restaurant or cafe. Understanding a song in English without needing the lyrics. Watching a TV show or movie in English and understanding the main story. Having a simple conversation in English with a friend. Reading a book or article in English without needing to translate every word. Writing a short journal entry in English about your day. Each time you experience one of these small successes, take a moment to celebrate. You've worked hard to get there, and you deserve to feel proud of yourself. Remember, learning English is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. I encourage you to think about the small successes you've had so far in your learning journey. What have you accomplished that you're proud of? Even if you're just starting, celebrate the fact that you are learning something new and challenging. You are already a success. The next time you feel like you're not making enough progress or you're frustrated with a mistake, remember all the small victories you've had. Each one is a piece of your progress. Keep going and celebrate every step you take. You are learning, you are growing, and you are becoming more confident in English every day. Keep up the great work. All right, we've reached the end of our story, and I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about today. If you've been following along with me, you know that learning English is a journey. It's not always easy, and there will be challenges along the way, but it's also an exciting adventure full of growth and learning. And just like any journey, it's important to take it step by step. So let's quickly go over the key points we've covered. First, we talked about setting a goal for learning English. I shared how setting a clear goal can help you stay focused and motivated. Whether you want to speak with confidence, travel, or get new work opportunities, having a goal in mind gives you direction. My goal was to speak better English so I could connect with more people, and that kept me motivated even on the tough days. Next, we discussed starting small and taking the first steps. I started by learning basic words and simple phrases. I watched videos, read books, and practiced every day. Even though it was difficult at first, those small steps added up over time. I learned how to introduce myself, say greetings, and ask basic questions, and the more I practiced, the more confident I became. But then, we also talked about the challenges. Learning English is not always smooth sailing. There are grammar mistakes, pronunciation problems, and sometimes you might feel shy about speaking. But the key is not to give up. Every mistake is a lesson, and every challenge is an opportunity to improve. Even when it felt difficult, I kept going, knowing that it was all part of the process. I encouraged you to keep practicing, even when things felt hard, because persistence is what leads to success. We also discussed how important it is to have support along the way. I shared how practicing with friends or even joining an English group can really help. Speaking and listening to others in real conversations is one of the best ways to improve. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes when speaking with others. Remember, they're there to help, and every conversation is a chance to learn. And if you don't have anyone to practice with right now, talking to yourself is also a great option. Practicing out loud, even if it's just describing what you're doing, can help you become more comfortable with speaking. Daily practice is another key part of learning English. Remember when I told you how I practiced every day, even if it was just for a few minutes? It doesn't matter how much time you spend, as long as you do something every day. Writing a few sentences in your journal, watching a short video, or reading a simple article, these small daily activities add up. Over time, they will lead to big improvements in your skills. Consistency is the secret to success. Then we talked about the small successes, those little moments when you realize how much progress you've made. Like when I ordered food in English for the first time, or when I watched a movie without subtitles. These small victories may seem insignificant at the time, but they're the building blocks of your success. So, make sure to celebrate every small achievement along the way. They remind you that you are making progress, and they keep you motivated to continue. Now, as we come to the end of this story, I want to leave you with a final piece of encouragement. Learning English is a journey, not a race. It's okay if you don't speak perfectly today, and it's okay if you make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are a sign that you're learning. You will make progress, step by step, if you keep practicing and stay patient with yourself. Every day is an opportunity to improve. I know there may be times when you feel frustrated or discouraged, but remember, that's all part of the process. When I started learning English, I didn't know how far I would go, but I kept going, step by step. And now, I'm able to do things in English that I never thought possible. You will too, as long as you keep pushing forward. So, what should you do next? Start by taking one small step. You don't have to do everything at once. Maybe you'll write a sentence in your journal today, or maybe you'll listen to an English podcast for 10 minutes. Celebrate that small step. Each step you take brings you closer to your goal. And remember, learning English isn't just about becoming fluent. It's about enjoying the process. It's about discovering new words, exploring new cultures, and connecting with people from all over the world. English opens doors to new opportunities, but the best part is the journey itself. I believe in you. No matter where you are on your journey, you are capable of achieving your goals. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep going. The road to fluency may seem long at times, but every step you take is a step toward success. So, let's make a promise to ourselves. We will keep learning, one day at a time. We will keep challenging ourselves, even when it's hard, and we will celebrate every small victory, knowing that each one is part of our progress. You're not alone in this journey. There's a whole community of learners just like you, and together, we can support and encourage each other. And I'm here, cheering you on every step of the way. So don't give up, no matter how tough it gets. Your success is waiting for you. Now go ahead and take the next step in your journey. Whether it's watching a video, writing a sentence, or speaking with someone in English, just do it. You're on your way. And I can't wait to hear about all the amazing things you'll accomplish. Keep going, keep believing in yourself, and remember, every step is progress. Good luck. and I look forward to seeing you continue your English learning journey. You've got this.